Hi everyone, I'm Nick Olivo, and today we're looking at how to create a macro for minion attacks in Roll20. Before we dive in, I'd just like to thank Roll20 for sponsoring this video. Now just to be clear, I'm not talking about these kind of minions, I'm talking about the type of minions that come from the MCDM monster book Flee Mortals. And Flee Mortals includes full rules on how to use and run minions. Now, if you don't have a copy of Flee Mortals in Roll20, there is a free preview PDF available on the MCDM website, and while that doesn't contain the full book with all the monsters, it does contain all the rules for the subtypes of monsters like minions. So you can download that, read through those rules if you'd like, and see if it's something you want to put in your games. I'll throw a link to that down in the video description. But as you can see here, minions are designed to be weak foes that you can use to create dramatic combat encounters with hordes of enemies without overwhelming your characters. So think scenarios like when Aragorn is mowing through orcs, or when Trevor Belmont is just whipping right through a whole bunch of low-level undead. So a GM should be able to run minions very quickly. They have simple stats, they die easily, they don't score critical hits. The only thing that's a little bit involved with a minion is this concept of a group attack. So basically, when your minions attack, they kind of gang up on one of your PCs, and they make a single attack roll for that group. And the attack roll gets a +1 bonus for each minion who joins in the attack. And if that hits, you multiply the damage by the number of minions who joined that attack. So what we're going to do today is create a macro that prompts the DM for how many minions are participating in the attack, and then automatically performs the relevant calculations, adding in the number of minions to the attack roll and multiplying the damage by the appropriate number of minions as well. So I've got my trusty Notepad++ window here. Let's dive in and write some code. So the first thing we want to do is get our attack's output to look like this. In the spirit of minions being fast to run, I'm going to have my attack roll and my damage dice displayed at the same time just to keep the game moving. So the way that we do that in Roll20 is by using the npcfullatk template. So this right here means that we're going to get this style output with both attack and damage. Awesome. Now we need to provide some information for the template to use. So the first thing that we're going to do is include this attack equals 1 component. What this means is we are going to display the attack rolls that we make. Kind of important, we need that, so there we go. In a similar vein, we're also going to display damage, and that's going to look like this, with damage equals 1. If we were missing either of these, then the attack roll and the damage roll would not actually show up. Then we have this next bit here, which is saying always equals 1. That means we're going to roll twice so that we can handle advantage and disadvantage. And then finally, we're going to have damage 1 flag equals 1. What this means is we will actually display the output of the damage roll in the card. So damage 1 is this damage section, damage 1 flag, this is the actual damage itself. The next thing that we're going to include is this right here. This is at Goblin Lackey NPC name flag. What this does is this actually puts the name Goblin Lackey here inside the template. So basically all you're going to do is substitute the name of your monster right here, and then the template will put that creature's name here in the template output. And you do need to place this tag right here. I've tried putting it in other parts of the template structure and it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that after your damage 1 flag goes in, then you have your NPC name flag. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is include the name of the attack that we're making. So to get that attack stats, I'm just going to minimize my notepad window, open up my Goblin Lackey's character sheet here, and the attack that we're going to do here is this Dagger group attack. And we can see that it has a +3 to the attack bonus, and it deals 1 piercing damage. But remember, that's one individual minion without the group attack bonus. So every minion that participates in the attack increases this attack roll by 1. So, bringing back Notepad here, what we're going to do is plug in this line, rname equals Dagger group attack. That's what's going to give us the title that you see here in the template output. And now we want to actually make the attack roll. So the attack roll is going to look like this. We're saying R1, that's roll 1. That's going to be the number that appears on the left side over here. And then we have these double brackets, which is how we tell Roll20 that we are performing a die roll. We're going to roll a d20. We're going to add 3 to it. That's the raw bonus here from the attack. And then we've got a prompt right here asking for the number of minions. So if we have 3 minions in our attack, we're going to have a d20 plus 3 for the regular attack bonus, plus 3 for the number of minions who are participating, and then that will give us our total roll. And if we look at the example here, we can see that right now we have a d20 plus 3 plus 3, because I had 3 minions participating in that attack. We rolled a 7, and then we add the 3 minions and the 3 of the attack bonus, and we get a total of 13. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for the other die roll. The only difference is we're just going to call it R2. All right, so we've got our attack rolls taken care of. Now let's roll some damage. So remember, all we're doing is taking the amount of damage that the attack deals, in this case it's 1 point of piercing damage, and we're going to multiply it by the number of minions who are participating in the attack. So we can do that with a line that looks like this. Damage 1 equals, and then again the square brackets say that we're doing a die roll. We're saying 1, which is the amount of damage the attack deals, times the number of minions that are participating in the attack. So 3 minions, 3 times 1 is 3, so this attack dealt 3 points of piercing damage. And that's the last thing that we need to incorporate is the damage type. So we're going to add that into the template with this component right here, which says damage 1 type equals piercing. One thing I do want to mention about this is this code, even though it doesn't look like it right now, this is actually all on one single line. If I turn off word wrap, you'll see this whole thing is on one single line. Okay, so don't put line breaks into your code. Like when you're writing it, certainly have word wrap on. It makes it a lot easier to read. But just so you all know, this is all on one single line. If you put line breaks in here, like if I were to turn off word wrap real quick and I did this, then my code will not work. So don't use line breaks, just have word wrap on and it'll make it a lot easier to read and it'll ensure everything works properly. Okay, so now we're done. We've got everything that we need here. Let's go ahead, let's copy this. And what I'm going to do is go into my character sheet, into the attributes and abilities section. I'm going to add a new ability. We're going to call this Dagger Group Attack. And I'm going to paste in that code, and we're going to show it as a token action. And now when we click on one of our Goblin Lackeys, you see we get the Dagger Group Attack button up here. I'm going to go ahead and click that. How many minions are participating? We'll say 3. And there we go. We can see that we rolled a 13, plus 3 for the regular bonus, plus 3 for the number of minions, which gives us a total of 19. And we dealt 1 times 3 points of piercing damage, and that's being displayed properly. So let's look at one more example here. This minion is called a Hellhound Cur, and this is actually my favorite minion from the Flea Mortals book. I mean, just look at this guy. He's awesome. All right, so the Hellhound Cur has a group attack called Hellish Bite, and if it hits and more than one cur participated in the attack, then the target has to make a Dexterity saving throw with a DC equal to 10 plus the number of curs who joined in the attack. And if they fail, they get lit on fire, and they take an amount of fire damage equal to the number of curs who participated in the attack. So we want our macro to not only perform the attack and the regular damage, but to also automatically calculate the dexterity save and display the amount of damage that the target will take if they fail that save. So let's see how to do that. All right, so let's bring back our trusty Notepad++ window here, and you can see I've already started building the macro. This is basically the exact same thing as what we had for the Goblin. It's just I've adjusted the name, I've adjusted the modifier that's applied for the attack rolls, and I changed the damage type. But otherwise, structurally, this is the exact same macro. The thing we want to include now is another flag called description. So we're going to say description equals, and we're going to close that in curly braces. And now what we're going to do is copy the text out of our Minion's character sheet. So we're just going to copy this and paste it so it's inside the description flag. Okay, so far so good. So now what we're going to do is calculate the DC for our dexterity save. So let's highlight this text right here, make a dexterity saving throw with a DC equal to, and it's going to be 10 plus the number of curs who join the attack. We're going to delete that. and we're going to put in 2 square brackets, opening and closing, and we're going to say 10 plus, and then our number of minions prompt. We're just going to copy that and paste it right here. And so the double brackets here are what's going to cause Roll20 to add those numbers together and then display it in the output. And then similarly, down here, we're going to say that a creature who's on fire takes fire damage equal to the number of curs who join the attack. So we're just going to delete this whole section right here. And what we're going to do is put in our number of minions. And it's going to say takes number of minions fire damage. Okay, so now let's take this. We're going to copy that, and let's actually run this right now and scoot this guy out of the way. So the number of minions, let's say, is 3. Submit that. And we can see here that our dexterity saving throw with a DC equal to 13 is being calculated for us. And down here, we take 3 fire damage. Now, looking at this, this works, this is great, but looking at it, the 3 fire damage doesn't really stand out the way that the dexterity save does. And the reason for that is this is just text, whereas this was a roll, and Roll20 will bold the rolls that we make, and that just helps make them stand out better. So what I'm going to actually do is come back into our macro here, and I'm going to enclose the number of minions fire damage in square brackets, and that's just going to make this pop a little bit more. All right, so let's highlight all this again. We'll paste it in, run it, say 3 minions, and there we go. Now we see that 3 fire damage has been bolded, and that just stands out a little bit more. So now I'd do the same thing. I'd copy this whole thing. I would go into attributes and abilities, add a new ability called Hellish Bite, and then paste in my code, make it a token action, and now it's going to be available anytime I click on one of these curs, just like we saw with the goblins. So there you have it, a macro that you can use to help speed up running minions in combat. And the great thing here is you can take that macro and modify it for any one of the other minions that you can find in Flee Mortals. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. And until next time, folks, have a great day.